Laoshi, Lawrence McElroy here, live for West Babylon Public Library, and of course everybody else. As you may know, I've had two ongoing classes running for a number of years, both Sachem Public Library in Holbrook and West Babylon Public Library. And let's see, where is that one? Oh yeah, West Babylon. And while we are alone together, Water Tiger School is presenting Facebook Live sessions on Mondays at 10 a.m. for the Sachem folk and everybody else, and Tuesday mornings at 10:15 a.m. For the West Babylon folk and everybody else. And I want to take a moment with the Alone Together thing to mention something. I heard it in an interview last week. Unfortunately, I don't really remember the source, but the gentleman made an interesting point. It's like he doesn't want to think about this. The terms that we have been using are sort of off. Now, if you know Water Tiger, you know that we often talk in the room and on the mat about how changing our language will change our perspective on something. And this change was, instead of using the term social distancing, we should use physical distancing. We all need each other, especially in times like this. You can still talk to your neighbors at a safe distance. You can still visit people if they stay on one side of the backyard and you stay on the other. I'm not necessarily recommending that, but it is a possibility to stay safe. Otherwise, through a plate of glass. There are a lot of drive-by parties going on with people honking and throwing cards and dropping presents at the end of sidewalks and that sort of thing. And we need more of that, not less. So not socially distant, but physically distant. So anyway, today, with this particular session, we're going to do a little warm-up, something from a set that we call Awakening the Qi, and then a little fun with Variety is the Spice of Tai Chi. We're going to talk about how to involve binding. And don't worry, no one has to change into black leather or anything like that. I want to point out, sort of not necessarily the idea for this, but sort of within the realm of this particular floor exercise, this particular way of approaching our play, that it is said that William C.C. Chen has been quoted as sharing with folk that he never really understood the principle of Son. That's dynamic relaxation, surrendered resilience, all that, until he had a dream about having to fight with both of his arms broken. So anyway, you'll understand more about what that's about once we get this going. So without further ado, I'm gonna get a drink because I am who I am. That's all that I am. So the piece from activating or awakening the Qi that we're going to do is shaking the tree, also known as bouncing the body. And what we want to do, when we have the feet shoulder wide, we'll let the arms hang, just a tad bit, just a little bit of activation in the arms. And that little activation of the arms is nothing more than turning the palms back. Now, for some of us, if you hold tension or your body structure may pull the hands out away from your body doing that. For others like me, my hands, the tiger's mouth, the knife at the ridge hand side of the hand is resting against the thighs. I'm fine with that. I don't want to pull my arms out away from my body. I want the arms to hang. Chest sunk back rounded, just because that's what we do. And now what shaking the tree is about is feeling a compression and expansion, a compression and expansion, a compression and expansion through the entire body. So when we shake, I'm going to turn sideways for a moment. I don't know if that'll help or not. It's not driven in the knees. See how jerky that is? Plus, my knees are already starting to go, I don't know what you're doing, dude, but stop it. Right? But if you feel more like the body's being compressed and expanded, everything's involved. The knees are supported because everything below the knees and everything above the knees are also being compressed and expanded. The knees themselves are being compressed and expanded. not simply bending and straightening. So that's the idea. Kind of our go-to image here is somebody's got a little dial that controls gravity, and they're turning it up a little bit stronger, and then they're taking it back to normal, and then they're turning it up a little bit stronger, and then they're taking it back to normal. You can also reverse that, and the up is above normal, and the down is taking it back to normal. So that idea of somebody playing with the control of gravity is what we want to feel. That's the image that we want to go. There's no set time here. I might say it would be ideal. This is a great exercise. Just open everything up and to loosen everything up. If you're stiff in the morning, that, everybody should do this exercise 5 or 10 minutes every day. That's not what we're going to do here. We're going to let it go for a while. And then as we do with some other things at Water Tiger School, we're going to do a fade, which is a little bit different than the traditional version of this exercise. So turn your palms back, let the arms hang, the wiggle is optional, and begin that bouncing of the body, that shaking the tree. We keep our vertical alignment. If I drop the chin, then my head's going to do this. And if I have the chin up, it's going to be stiff. So if I have my vertical alignment, my head and neck are going to compress with everything as well. Shaking the tree from awakening the chi. Set that from the source material was originally called the Qigong warm-up. As always, I tend to take source material and sort of turn up the volume. And that's what we're doing here. One of the reasons for the name Shaking the Tree, as we bounce, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see that angle. Keep my eyes forward, though. I'm not going to look toward you guys because that takes me out of alignment. It's sort of that idea, why do you shake the tree? To see what falls out. You might remember a few years ago, a commercial for a certain car company. Had a guy parking his car underneath a tree, and he closed the door, and I think the first thing that came out was a ball fell down. And of course the kids were all thrilled that the resounding sound made by the door shutting, that was the point of the commercial. Well-made car. But it got things out of the tree, so they sort of looked at him, and he knew, I need to shut it again. That went on for a while until I think the last item to come out of the tree because of the resounding sound from the closing door was a cat. So we're shaking the tree to see what comes out. Let this bounce, let this vibration start to loosen everything up, opening up the muscles and the tendons, not tightening them. Loosening the joints, not tightening them. Loosening the muscles and their grip on the organs. Matter of fact, as you're bouncing, hopefully you begin to feel like the organs in the torso are starting to slosh around. Creating space by loosening. In other words, were we to look at ourselves at a subatomic level, we'd even be increasing distance between our subatomic particles. We'd be opening up, expanding. We're tight. It actually compresses the body. We want to be bigger, more liquid. Other images some people use, you can use like somebody squeezing a balloon or a ball and then letting it expand back to its normal parameters. Bouncing images for some people work. Like somebody's dribbling you. Ball. I have a student who always thinks of the paddle ball thing, the little ball and the elastic cord and the paddle. Those kind of images for me cause some challenges that I'd rather not have. And hopefully, eventually, you get to that point. We're about to fade now. You get to that point where you can eliminate the images and you can just feel that you yourself are allowing the body to compress and expand. Sort of as a self-aware spring, compressing and expanding your own physical self. That's the idea. And, we keep alignment. What happens if one of the coils is out of alignment and there's a compression, it shoots across the room. So you want to maintain your alignment. We're going to start the fade now. Breathing, relaxing, and releasing. You see as we're fading here, getting a couple of comments. I might take a look at those. I usually don't get comments during the video, so that's new, that's fresh. Bit by bit, piece by piece, and turn sideways. You want everything to still be fading. The compression is still through the whole body. I'm not just in the knees and everything else is still. I'm not just in the shoulders and the arms and everything else is still. Everything is still bouncing. Everything is still compressing and expanding until nothing is. That felt a little thuddy for me. We really want that fade, and then you just take a moment, feel what there is to feel, and step out of it. We really want that fade to be so subtle, so supple, that change from actual physical movement to actual physical stillness is so imperceptible that not only is it difficult for people to see someone else looking at you, but it's also difficult for you yourself to feel. Looking at what I did with my glasses so I can read the comments. Oh, there they are. So I'm just going to take a quick look. Oh, not really. Not really comments, just likes. So cool. Thanks. Thumbs up. So binding. We want to just eliminate a limb, or you can eliminate two limbs. Obviously, because what we're doing in Tai Chi, it can't be legs, but arms. So this is usually easier when you have somebody else to help with the binding, but you can make a slip knot and then wrap something around a few times and maybe tuck it in. And now, it failed in the tuck. There we go. And it's still loose, but it ain't going to go anywhere, right? And if this doesn't quite work for you, if you don't have a binding cord, there are two options. One is really simple. You need absolutely nothing. Hold it in place, put it in a pocket, let it hang, which is an interesting choice. Or, going back to William C.C. Chen and the broken arm, use a sling, right? I think I'm going to keep the sling. It's probably where I should have started. But you can do any of our floor exercises. When we started these live series, we introduced people who may not have regularly played walking the rails with the rotation. So I'm going to take the arm out of the sling, right? Where weight's on one foot, on my right foot, my right hand's the top of the ball. I take a step, maintaining the ball size between the two hands as I rotate left hand and left foot to the top, right hand and right foot to the top, and a little casual close. So taking that into a binding or bound exercise, then I'm still going to start with my weight settling in my right foot, but I have no right hand at the top of the ball. So my left hand should still be where it normally would be if I had a right hand. And as I step to the left, it still maintains what the ball size should be if I was using both hands. Breathing, just as you normally would. Moving, maintaining the reality of the ball size. I'm going to take one more step here. And close. And to make it interesting, you might do one side and then do the other. And then, as we have talked about in other variety episodes, both live and pre-recorded, you probably then want to take a moment and maybe even bookend, maybe start the way that you normally do the binding or do the isolation of part of the body, and then go back and do the regular. So you can play floor exercises. In other words, any of the postures that you do as a walking exercise is fine. If we were to put this in the context of, what the focus is, what the curriculum is for West Babylon's Sachem Public Library, it would be Water Tiger School's approach to the medium frame Young style 24 posture short form. So you might do your form if you have a form. Otherwise, again, a posture walk. I can take Parting the Wild Horse's Mane out of the context of the form. And I don't need to know, I don't have to have a full form to be able to play the various components. Oops, I was doing Parting the Wild Horse's Mane. I wasn't doing the form. Sorry. My bad. And my little close. Whatever your form is, you can do that. Whatever the posture is, wave hands like clouds will still be wave hands like clouds, only with the one hand in either direction. So you can play with that. Again, Parting the Wild Horse's Mane, maybe switching hands. Parting the Wild Horse's Mane, so weights on the right foot, right hand forms the top of the ball, left hand forms the bottom of the ball. I take a step, the left hand rises up, rounded, in front of the center of the chest, the right hand sort of down here, another time where you might think of something dribbling. Rock back, the hands release, pivot, the hands pivot, come up, forming the ball as the ball forms. Boom, Parting the Wild Horse's Mane. You can also do Water Tiger's approach to grasp Sparrow's tail and ward off from that form the ball position. Swinging across, forming the ball, stepping. Hand at the bottom of the ball sort of throws a frisbee. Hand at the top of the ball, sort of an underhand pitch to end in the crook of the elbow. So again, not a form, but a walking exercise. We've done Parting the Wild Horse's Mane, so why don't I go back? And here's ward off. Without the other arm. A little casual close. Switch back and forth between the arms. Play the various postures, whatever they are, in wave hands like clouds. If I do a stationary version, right hand across the top, or left hand across the top as I turn to the left, right hand across the bottom, palm in below, palm out above. Sort of have a trébuchet moment with the elbow dropping and swinging across. But to do that with one arm or the other arm, you have the turn, you can step right to the side in either direction. And mix it up. So again, hand in pocket, actually bound, lose both arms and play the form. Right? Open, whatever the form is. Little part of Water Tiger School's approach to the 24 posture form. There are 3 Parting the Wild Horse's Mane. There's a transitional Kung Fu half step, then takes us into high press and into white crane. Coming back. A little brush knee step and strike. Both my feet and my head's being cut off. So just a little turn out, leg swings in, back out, and we have our transition into playing the pei pa, and closing with broken arms. So be creative, have fun. Some of the postures may take a little bit more contemplation as you're doing it with only one arm. For instance, repulse the monkey can get a little bit can get a little bit confusing, but it's still the same movement as it would be with two arms. So variety is the spice of life. Variety is the spice of Tai Chi. This is actually, by the way, binding. The little red cord is another item. If you watch the pre-recorded piece that we published on variety with a blindfold, which actually this is, I mentioned that it's pulled, and the weights are pulled from a bag of fun. And the red cord is part of the bag of fun that we pull out every once in a while in the studio program. Probably not going to do that remotely as we do remote studio classes, but anyway. So there you go. Variety, mix it up. The reason that we want to do variety is that it changes our perspective on what it is that we're doing. And I suppose that's at least partially exemplified by the fact that William C.C. Chen indicated that it really helped having that dream of not having the use of his arms really helped his understanding of that principle of being sewn in our Tai Chi. So there you go. We'll be back, of course, on Monday at 10 a.m., another live session, Water Tiger for Sachem. And again on Tuesday at 10:15 a.m. And by the way, while I was doing the live session for West Bab last week, returned to my home office, and there was a voicemail. They have extended the cancellation of public programs for West Babylon through the month of May. So we're still hopeful that maybe we'll be back face to face in 3D in June. But we're going to take this one day at a time and allow medical professionals to tell us when we can resume some form of normal and see each other once again in 3D, face to face, without a screen. So there you have it. Something not completely different, but something different next week. And we'll be here for as long as we need to be. So take care, stay safe, keep calm, keep aware, keep well, and we'll see you again soon. Wash your hands.